Redcliffe Peninsula, and what is your vision and plan for the future? We'll start the clock now.
The current state of business in Redcliffe Peninsula, there are a lot of vacant shops. In general, I would say business is okay, but it could be a whole heap better. There are three things that I think Redcliffe businesses, while these items are not in particular relating to three big issues for Redcliffe are digital readiness. We need to make sure that we utilise technological advantages that we have here without compromising data security. Staffing issues. We need lots of staff and we need wages growth not to be a big topic. And we need to keep up to date with Fair Work legislation. Keeping pace with the changing demographics in the local area. Kipparing and Redcliffe will have increased density around the train line. So we need to retain existing customer base and attract new clients.
Next question? Or?
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Have we got 5?
There's 5 questions in 5 minutes.
5 questions in 5 minutes, sorry. Okay.
Do you want to move on?
Yes, I do want to move on.
Okay, what do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach to contribute to the development of Redcliffe?
Okay, the lovely area that we have, that we call Redcliffe, is beautiful. We can use the natural beauty that we have. We can use the attractions that we have here. We can build on them. We have some lovely parks and nature areas, and we need to build on the strengths there. We want to be able to use those parks. We want healthy people, because healthy people are active people, so we need lots of parks for people.
Next question. Okay, we are represented here this evening, fortunately by many community organisations. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support appropriately?
An organisation such as this is great for networking, and we need to make sure that all the businesses that are represented can network and can network well and can access certain things like business training and employer assistance, finding out what is required under legislation, like the Fair Work Act, whether you need to have your people covered. Next question.
Okay. There's a new initiative here run by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive, just here on Sutton Street. What is your understanding of this, and how do you see it benefiting local business community?
Okay, this would really suit my business. I work from home. The Hive is a new initiative where it's, I think it's like a hot desking type arrangement, and you have all the facilities of a standard office, except you don't have the outgoings. The outgoings are quite significant. I have moved into an office and then I moved back out of it because outgoings were too substantial. You've got to keep someone, if you have an office, you have to keep someone in that office all the time. And the fact that I have to go out and do inspections and be out of the office from time to time didn't suit some of my clients. So this sort of the hive would be so much more beneficial to a lot of small businesses like mine. Next question.
Okay, the last question, question 5. Again, this is where we write these down. Government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy and has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland's business operating environment?
The biggest thing is red tape reduction. My business involves a lot of red tape. Legislation should achieve legislation should achieve what it is written for. We all want a safe workplace, a healthy home, and consumer rights. When we undertake red tape reduction, we need to target the right areas. For example, to build a 3 metre by 4 metre shed, there are 13 pages of state government application forms to wade through. That's ridiculous. It could well be 2 or 3 pages. A new red tape reduction initiative relating to build over sewer is not effective red tape reduction if you have to pay 3 times the price for 3 times the work because 3 different people have a role to play. I actually have an example of red tape reduction. I've been chasing the state government for several years to reduce red tape for application forms for people to do things like build a shed.
Okay, Liz, that's the 5 minutes. Thank you very much. We've got the bucket going around with Peter. If there's some more questions, I'll just ask you some of these ones that have been put on notice so far. Liz, there was a question earlier about the amalgamation and the mishandling beforehand. What's your position on the amalgamation and are you going to do anything about it?
Deamalgamation, if it was up to me, I would deamalgamate tomorrow. I want Redcliffe Council back. I would love it back, but a lot of people, all they want is a reduction in rates or a capping of rates, and that's what I would want to implement, just a capping of the rates, capping of water. The water bills have gone up so much. If we had it back in Redcliffe Council, that's where it belongs. That's my view.
Thank you. Now there's a question, do all the candidates support the implementation of the Haze Inlet Management Plan to provide greater protection of Moreton Bay?
Yes, most definitely. With the increasing housing pressures that we will have, there will be development pressures in this area, and places like Kipparing and parts of Redcliffe will see a tripling of population in less than 20 years. So that sort of development pressure means that our sewage pump station that ends up in Haze Inlet will be under severe pressure.
Okay, there's another question regarding the current position of the government. That's 2 minutes period. Thank you, Liz. Please do take this opportunity of having more questions.
Which is good.
Thank you, Dan, for your time. Take place at the lectern. The questions are just there. You have 5 minutes. We'll sound the bell towards the end, and you let me know if you want to move on to the next question. Okay, the first question. What is your view of the current state of business on the Redcliffe Peninsula, and what is your vision and plan for the future?
I think it's kind of gloomy just at the moment. If you listen to the population of Redcliffe, if the population of the state, water is actually the biggest issue. Because it is driving people down to the the breadwire. And I'm afraid your businesses can only survive if you have customers who can buy. If you look at water, I probably could talk 5 minutes on that one subject, I don't want to. If you look at water, it's increasing at 25% a year. CPI's going up 2% a year. You take out 10 years, CPI's gone up 20. Price of water's gone up 250. You take 20 years, water's gone up 40. CPI, sorry, has gone up 40. Water's gone up 500. You don't have to be a great mathematician to work that out. Your businesses won't survive. You don't have customers.
That's a minute. Would you like to move on to the next one? Okay, what do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach to contribute to the development of Redcliffe?
I think R&D is something that's been ignored atrociously by our governments, state and federal. If you don't develop the future, if you don't put money back into your business, it can't grow. But if the government doesn't encourage you to do that, neither party, the major parties in this country don't encourage you to do anything. They are controlled by the people up above, the Reinhardts, the Palmers, the Packers, the Murdochs. Those sort of people actually control our political parties. I said that Scotty unleashed something in me, and he did. He unleashed my inquiry mind. I was a happy retiree at 60. I was sitting around volunteering, doing theatre, driving people to doctor's appointments, driving on people on buses. Scotty actually destroyed the organisation. He made me not be able to do the volunteer work that I wanted to do. And because he did that, I wanted to find out why. I chased him to the Supreme Court. I chased him all the way to the Supreme Court. I still managed to wind up that organisation. So the bus that I drove, those people were in the school.
Would you like to, that's the minute gone again.
Yeah, no, I'll wait a bit more time if I can. Thanks, Martin. That's the motivation, is kind of important. My background is business. I'll certainly answer any of your business questions. But if you don't understand my motivation, you won't know why the hell I'm doing this. So you need to understand that I'm going to change the way political parties are destroying this country. And the only way you can do that is to get people to stand up against the governments. The governments of both colours don't care about you. They don't. The Labor Party doesn't represent workers or poor people. The Liberal Party doesn't represent small business. I thought they did. I voted Liberal all along. They don't. They don't represent you. You're small businessmen. Does the Liberal Party represent you? Hell no. Next question.
Thank you. Okay, we are represented here, thankfully, by many community organisations. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support each appropriately?
I think business actually supports community really well. The Hospital Foundation is one example. I was a member of the Hospital Foundation. I collected money. Big business worked to support our community. If any of you contributed to the Hospital Foundation, we raised $2 million. Millionaire mates who did it. I'm not a millionaire. I did it. I collected money. We ran around with buckets. That was community. That was people of all strata working for our community. Business does work for our community. We interact really well. And the community supports us, but you have to empower your community. Give them some power. That's what I want to do, because the people don't have a voice. Political parties don't give you a voice. You may believe that they do. It may take a long time for me to convince you. But listen to one voice. One voice can make a difference in this world. I ain't no Martin Luther King. I'm not no Mandela. I'm not Gandhi. But I'm one voice. And I'm telling you, the political parties in this country never have represented you. Since the day Hawke sold the Commonwealth Bank, they've been selling assets. You sell assets, you give away the family farm. It's crazy. Every type of government's doing it. Doesn't matter what party's in power. They give away assets. They're selling the family farm. They're not supporting our importers or our exporters. Our farmers, what are they doing for our farmers? They're letting them starve, because big business runs this country. Not small business. I'm sorry, listen to you guys. It's the power above that is driving this country. I didn't see it. Scotty Driscoll made me see that. I am now on a mission.
Okay, we're in our last minute now. There's a new initiative by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive. I'd like to know what your understanding is of this, and how do you see it benefiting the local business community?
it's an entrepreneurial thing, gives people a chance. If you've got a small business and you want to expand, it's just a place where you can go and actually expand your business without employing a staff, without inquiring after space. Great idea. Love it.
Okay. The last formal question. Government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy and has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland business operating environment?
What should the government do? The government should actually work for us. I just don't get it. I've had a liberal all my life. My grandfather was an ALP branch secretary. I've got a kind of political bloodstream, but I never was interested in politics. We need the government to actually listen to us. Get back, whatever that question is. Competitive Queensland business. We've got great products. We produce great products. You guys do. You work in small business. I have worked in small business. I've worked in finance. I have financed people in importing millions of dollars worth of tiles in the area and they went bust. Governments don't look after us. They don't. The major political parties in this country are an absolute failure and a disgrace. They are. If you don't get that, I will keep saying it. I will keep saying it because the people will listen to it. The people will listen.
Okay, I'll stop you there then. That's the 5 questions. We've got 2 minutes now for some questions that have been submitted from the floor. We've got some fresh ones here. The first one is, what will you do to promote tourism? Before we start the clock, you can keep going as many orders as you wish. So, what would you do to promote tourism?
I think the dugong's probably our biggest asset at the moment. It's something that Dougie the Dugong man bangs on about, that Richard Lancaster bangs on about, Peter Biggie coming strong, Virginia. We have something unique in this bay. This electorate actually covers it. Right up the Stone Passage, right at Morton Island. This bay is a magnificent thing that's in this electorate. The dugong is unique in the world. What you don't want to do is go out and look at them and touch them because they'll kill them. What we want to do is promote them. This is something quite unique here, dugong. So if you want to promote tourism, go to dugong. Trust me.
Okay. Politicians are held in low regard in the community. How do you intend to address this?
Only by not being a member of party. The low esteem in which politicians are held is because they perform so poorly. I was saying to a vet the other day, I believe most politicians go into politics with the greatest of intentions. I became a policeman because I wanted to improve the world, and I retained that ethic. I think politicians go into politics because they want to make a better world, but they can't because the party controls.
Thank you. Just 1 more minute. Okay, what will you do to develop the transport to and from the Redcliffe Peninsula, I think? Paul, is that right? Thank you. So what will you do to develop transport to and from the Redcliffe Peninsula?
I think the train's probably a waste of money, personally. I think the train should have come from Shorncliffe, it should have come across the lovely new bridge.
Thank you, everyone.
I think that's just crazy. We have what we have. We're going to get a train that's at Pickering. If you want to do something decent with that train, put in a light rail from there down to the waterfront. We've got a beautiful waterfront. That's our asset. Put in a light rail, get people down where you want them to spend them dollars on the waterfront. Use what you've got. Our bay is the most beautiful thing. I came to this place 34 years ago. Never want to leave. I love this place. It is beautiful. We should promote it. We should do a light rail. We could bring the people where we've got the dollars. Where we want the dollars spent. Bring them.
Okay, you've got 30 seconds. What will independents do with their votes? Swing either way?
I'm telling everyone, I will preference nobody. I don't want anybody to favour me. I am not going to preference anybody. You vote for me. You can do what you like with your second preference. If you want to give it to your old mates at the Libs, we'll give it a second. I don't care. If you want to give it to your old mates at Labor, give it to them. I don't care. Vote one for me because I want to change the world. Little by little by little, people power that will change the world. Just give me vote one. You do what you like with your second preference.
Thank you very much, then.
Hey, step aside of it.
to the lectern, please. Thank you, everyone. The questions are just in front of you there. Again, we'll rattle through them when Peter sat down. Okay, the first question. So you have 5 questions for 5 minutes. You can go as long or short as you wish, and then some questions that we have for the board. Okay, the first question is, what is your view of the current state of business on the Redcliffe Peninsula, and what is your vision and plan for the future?
It's very difficult for small business, and most of the businesses on the peninsula are small to medium businesses. There are very few large organisations here, to remain competitive given the amount of red tape and other compliance hassles that are put in the way of business owners. My vision mainly revolves around lessening that compliance burden in terms of, reducing the amount of red tape, cutting the overlap between state, federal and local government, cutting out where government departments overlap with each other. Some businesses are being visited by up to 7 different inspectors from different government departments on an ongoing basis, and I think CCIQ's own figures say that up to more than 50% of business owners are currently reporting that they're spending more than 20 hours a week dealing with compliance issues, and that's just getting in the way of doing business, and the government needs to just get out of the way and let those of us who know about business get on with business.
Thank you. Question number 2. What do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach to contribute to the development of Redcliffe?
My understanding of the term is to make the peninsula a more attractive place for businesses to start up, and I believe that fostering business-to-business arrangements, and that means freeing up, again, people to have time to engage with organisations like the Chamber of Commerce, where you're creating a strong business community in the peninsula, will make the peninsula a more attractive place to do business, to start new businesses and to grow our existing ones.
Thank you. We are represented here tonight, fortunately, by many community organisations. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support each appropriately?
Well, they're 2 of my 3 planks in my campaign platform is supporting small business and fostering community engagement. So I think in order to have a properly engaged community and social services delivered by the community, you've got to enable business to engage with those community organisations. We've got a great example with the Our Village Foundation. Sorry, I didn't actually know you guys were here, but it is a good example. And those sort of arrangements where small local businesses get involved with the community organisations, it's a win-win for everybody. The community organisations get support and donations and that sort of thing, and the businesses get to advertise themselves. And we don't need the government to tell us how to do that.
Thank you. Okay, number 4, there is a new initiative by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive in Sutton Street. What is your understanding of this, and how do you see it benefiting the local business community?
My understanding, and I haven't investigated The Hive fully, but it's a small micro-business incubator, a place where people looking to get a toehold in business can set themselves up to start whatever micro-business it is that they're interested in, and grow it from there until they get on their feet and need to go out and find actual premises to run from. I think it's a great idea. It'll certainly enable people to put that toe in the water, and if they like doing business in here, they're more likely to stay on the peninsula once they're ready to set up their own shop fronts and the like.
Thank you. I think there's about 1.5 minutes left of these questions. The last question, that's why we write them down. The government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy, and it has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland's business operating environment?
Get out of the way.
There you go. Okay. Those are the 5 questions done. We've got some questions here from the floor, in no particular order. Labour sold assets which belong to all of us and generated income. What will you sell?
I'm not in the mindset of selling assets. I think it's slightly erroneous to label them public assets. They're state-owned assets, which is a different kettle of fish altogether. I think if we're going to call them public assets, we should actually put them into public hands, make them controlled by local, grassroots, community level, not-for-profit organisations that can then, manage those assets for the betterment of the community at large, rather than either for the betterment of the political parties or the benefit of large corporations.
Thank you. Now, what is your thoughts on government's cuts to community organisations that don't have poker machines or licensed bars to support the income and are straining to meet community demands?
I think community organisations again should be funded by the community. I don't think it's we should be lessening the tax burden and the compliance burden on businesses and on individuals, so that people have more money in their pockets to support the community organisations that they want to support.
Okay, a question on de-amalgamation. I'm paraphrasing here, but we were lit down, according to this last time, by a former member. What's your position on de-amalgamation?
I think self-determination and that the right to determine how we're governed is a fundamental human right. So if the people of Redcliffe are for de-amalgamation, I'm all for de-amalgamation. Okay, what will you do to promote tourism? Again, I will hopefully make it a more attractive place for businesses to do business, and that includes tourism-related businesses. I'd like to see a ferry service get back up out to Tangalooma from Redcliffe, and we've got a wealth of natural beauty around the peninsula and in the electorate that could be promoted as tourist attractions.
Thank you. The last one is basically what will you do to develop transport to and from the Redcliffe Peninsula?
I would be in favour of deregulating the bus system and enabling more buses to compete along those lines. And
Get rid of the buses. More taxis.
Okay, ladies and gents, thank you very much. The questions are just down in front of you, and you can answer as many as you wish. We'll do a bell every minute for the 5 minutes. And we've got some questions from the floor for 2 minutes thereafter. Are you ready? Okay, question 1. What is your view of the current state of business on the Redcliffe Peninsula, and what is your vision and plan for the future?
I think the current state of business, we're certainly seeing some success in relation to new businesses coming up, but of course, like all communities, we've had a lot of small businesses closing in the area. That is nothing new, that happens all the time, that you see turnover in businesses, but what we need to do is making sure that what we have in this area is businesses that are addressing the needs. And I think what the Redcliffe Chamber's doing in constantly expanding your membership and making sure that you're communicating with the community about what the community wants. It's easy to just come in and set up businesses, but they don't last if it's not what the community's needs are. And I think that's where we are currently in Redcliffe. It's finding that balance of what the community actually needs, whether there's an oversupply in a certain area of businesses and gaps in other areas, and getting that balance right.
Thank you. The next question is, what do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach for the development of Redcliffe?
Well, I haven't heard the term investment attraction. I would read that as a term of how do we get more investment in our local community? How do we attract investment in our local community? We can do it in many ways. Government needs to lead in that, all 3 levels of government. You've got to have cooperation between all 3 levels of government to get investment in your local community. Again, it's about making sure that you're attracting that sort of investment, making sure that you're looking in the right areas as far as how we might do that. But I think as far as trying to attract investment, whether it's locally, statewide or nationally, it is something that I think big business and I think government really needs to lead the way in relation to investment and attracting investment.
Okay, thank you. Question three. We are represented by many community organisations this evening. Thank you. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support each appropriately?
Well, this is certainly one I've been thinking quite a lot about recently, and I know that there's many people in your chamber who are also members of many service organisations and community organisations across the peninsula, which is fantastic. But their connection is as an individual, not as an organisation and as a business. I think what we need to do more of is get your businesses connecting with the community organisations, not just the individuals who work for a business connecting with the community organisations. And we saw a lot of great work being done, I hate to say, with the RCA, with the support crew. That was a great example of businesses partnering with community organisations. And I think we could use that as a bit of a template of what we could do in the future, because I think that hand-in-hand businesses, community organisations and service organisations could be supporting each other a lot more, and businesses that support the community will get the community support in return.
Thank you. There's an initiative by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive in Sutton Street. What is your understanding of this, and how do you see it benefiting local business communities?
Well, as I understand, The Hive, it's a place to attract different opportunities, whether it's arts, crafts, whether it's small businesses, but it's short term, as I understand it, so it's putting on displays and that sort of thing. I haven't had a lot to do with The Hive at this stage. I've heard a fair bit about it, but from what I've been seeing, people are certainly not using enough of the space. And I think the best way to use The Hive is to ask the community what they want to do with The Hive. There's no point having community infrastructure just sitting there unless you're actually asking the community how they want to utilise it.
Okay, thank you. The last of the five. Our government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy and has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland's business operating environment?
Well, I think the local chamber and the Chamber of Commerce have outlined quite clearly what they would like to see. That is a reduction in red tape is certainly one key area in relation to helping businesses grow. To do that, it's a real fine line. It's a balancing act as far as reducing red tape. There is many areas of regulation that businesses want. They want to ensure that there's regulation. They want to ensure there's compliance as far as competition and other areas. But there is also a lot of duplication. And there's a lot of duplication across all three levels of government for businesses that just get in the way of businesses doing their job. And there needs to be a lot more cooperation between three levels of government. I know the work has started at a COAG level, but really it's stalled. And there is not enough being done to actually break down that duplication and make it easier for businesses to get on with their job.
Thank you. Well, that's the last of the five questions. We've got some questions from the floor, which we'll start. Peter, when you're ready. What do you think of the current government's suppression of the freedom of speech assembly?
Well, I don't agree with it. It's that simple. I think we all have the right to speak up and have an opinion. I particularly take offence to any regulations or rules being put in place by the government in relation to their own employees or in relation to organisations that receive funding from the government. They should be able to speak up and they should be able to advocate for their needs.
Thank you. Now, Labor sold assets which belong to all of us and generated income. What will you sell?
Nothing. Labor has made it very clear that we have learnt our lesson. We heard very clear from the voters in 2012 what they thought of asset sales. Laugh as you may, at least we admit it. We admitted our mistake, and you either learn from your mistake or you just keep making it over and over again, and we have learned from that mistake. And I'd just like to see the current government being honest about the sales they've already made and what they're planning.
Okay, thank you. The next question is paraphrased to be as much as your position on de-amalgamation and what will you do or not do?
Okay, well, de-amalgamation, firstly, my personal view is I don't necessarily believe that it's beneficial for our community. I think there's a belief out there that if we go back to the old Redcliffe City Council, we're suddenly going to see a significant reduction in rates and water and so forth. I don't think that's going to occur, but what I do believe in is that people were given a promise, and that promise was that if sufficient signatures were gained, they would get a voice, and I want to see them get that voice. This community has a right to choose for itself.
Thank you, Yvette. Perfect time. Okay, ladies and gents, thank you, Carrie. If you'd like to take a position on that. You have 5 minutes. 5 minutes to answer 5 questions. Thank you. 5 minutes to answer up to 5 questions. I'll do a bell every minute. It's up to you to manage those questions. Let me know when you want the next question. And there'll be 2 minutes at the end. Are you ready? Okay, so what is your view of the current state of business on the Redcliffe Peninsula? And what is your vision and plan for the future?
Okay, I'll take the first part first. The view of the current state of businesses in Redcliffe Peninsula. I've had the absolute pleasure of door-knocking the Clontarf Industrial Estate in the last 2 days and hearing about business confidence growing. Actually today, 4 of the businesses that we spoke to said that in January that they've had their greatest sales. One business, the Redcliffe Garden Centre, actually stated that they had their best weekend ever in a decade. They've been open for business for 10 years. So I appreciate there are some businesses struggling, and when we think about business in Redcliffe, we know that we've got Clontarf Industrial Estate, we've also got the CBD precinct, we've also got Margate shops, so we've got retail, we've got construction, we've got manufacturing, we've got primary industries. So from those that I spoke to today, we're hearing good news stories. Sorry, is that my 1 minute?
No, Peter was pretty close.
Sorry.
Okay, what do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach to contribute to the development of Redcliffe?
My understanding of investment attraction is that we want to attract businesses to Redcliffe, and we are certainly doing that. Again, one of the businesses I visited today is Evolve Group. Has anyone heard of Evolve Group? Oh, wonderful. One hand up the back. Evolve Group is a group down at Clontarf, started by Ty Herman, who's a passionate local man, and he's actually exporting his concrete blocks, a lightweight block, internationally. He's got 45 staff, he's manufacturing right here on the peninsula. So we are wanting to attract investors like Ty to the Redcliffe area so that we can see innovation, investment, that will create local jobs, that will help us develop a work, life, play approach to Redcliffe. We've got wonderful assets here, so we're wanting to invest and attract businesses here to Redcliffe.
Okay, thank you. Now we're represented here this evening by many community organisations, thankfully. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support each appropriately?
I was told today that Redcliffe actually has the most community organisations per capita for any city in Australia. So congratulations. I know here tonight there's many representations from various community groups. We've got the for-profit sector, we've got not-for-profit groups, we've got businesses. My vision is to see integration and innovation. We need to integrate the business skills of you guys who own businesses here with the not-for-profit sector and the community groups that often struggle to get funding. They're looking for philanthropic dollars, they're looking for government grants. So we need to integrate those. The community groups that are delivering frontline services for our most disadvantaged, like we know the services at the neighbourhood centre that the Pine Rivers are working. I think of Pastor Paul Theo down at Margate running El Shaddai Food Bank. Those guys need your help. So we need to see integration and innovation, ideas where we can work together, networking.
Okay, thank you. Now there's a new initiative in Sunk Street by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive. What is your understanding of this and how do you see it benefiting the local business community?
I know it opened last Thursday. Martin actually invited me to come, and unfortunately I had another appointment at the time, so I wasn't able to go. But it's a workspace innovation, and it's been started by the Moreton Bay Regional Council, and I am on the understanding that the Redcliffe City Chamber of Commerce is looking at partnering with the Moreton Bay Regional Council. So it's great to see innovation being attracted to Redcliffe. And it will benefit local business by providing spaces and workstations for those that need maybe to hot desk, need some computers or access to technology and Wi-Fi and those types of things.
Okay, the last of the 5. Government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy and has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland's business operating environment?
As I said in the beginning of my introduction, the LNP government is very pro-small business. We have actually seen this year the abolishment or reduction of the waste levy. We have also seen the threshold of payroll tax elevated. It was 1 million, it's up to 1.1 million. That actually impacts 90% of Queensland businesses where they no longer have to pay payroll tax. So that's a significant implementation of the LNP government since they've been elected. It's the government's role to work with local businesses like you guys, and that's what I offer. I offer the unity ticket. I actually will work with the mayor, I'll work with the federal MP, and I will actually be a voice not only in Parliament but also in government.
Thank you. Okay, that's the end of the 5 questions. We've got some questions from the floor. There's one specifically here. Could you could promise your vote on de-amalgamation where other parties and independents cannot? Why don't you?
Can you please read the question again?
You could promise a vote on de-amalgamation where other parties and independents cannot. Why don't you?
Are you referring to a referendum?
I'm just reading the
I will
question.
interpret the question that are we calling for a referendum. I appreciate that the de-amalgamation question is a big issue for many people. But in terms of the door knocking that I've been doing in the last 2 weeks, people are worried about their unity water bill, they're worried about the price of electricity, they're also worried about car parking at Redcliffe Hospital. So I appreciate that de-amalgamation is a big issue. If I could promise that, I actually think we can't wind back time. We know the Labor government actually brought in the amalgamation. It's actually cost prohibitive. So for us to move forward, we need to move forward together as a Redcliffe community.
Thank you. What is your thoughts on government cuts to community organisations that don't have poker machines and licence bars to support their income and are straining to meet the community demand?
If we reflect on the past government, we know that we inherited an $80 billion debt. How do governments actually deal with debt? There's 3 ways. We can increase taxes, we can actually decrease government size by decreasing the public service, or we actually have to sell assets. Now we know that the former government actually did that, sold water off. We know that there had to be tough decision made, and the LNP is actually about decreasing the size of government, and unfortunately there are casualties in that, and we do feel that we have to defend those tough decisions that were made, and there have been tough decisions in terms of the debt. We pay $12 million a day in interest. We could build a high school a day on the debt that we are paying. So in terms of what we're looking at, we want to continue to reduce government expenditure, and we have done that in
Thank
the
you very
last
much,
12
Kerry.
months. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Welcome to Simon. Please take your place in the lectern. The questions are down there in front of you and we'll beam them behind you. So there's 5 minutes to answer 5 questions. Peter will clean the glass at every minute, just so you're aware of the time. You'll let me know when you'd like to move on to the next question, and we'll do 2 minutes worth of questions from the floor afterwards. You ready to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. What is your view of the current state of business on the Redcliffe Peninsula, and what is your vision and plan for the future?
Our current state of business so far, it's very appalling. Can I tell you that? So my plan is to put Redcliffe on the top of the map of Queensland. That is my plan. How would I do that? I developed a lot of fantastic policy with so much ideas about our tourism, because I believe we need to attract a lot of people to our area to help our small businesses.
Okay, thank you. Question 2. What do you understand by the term investment attraction, and how will you use this approach to contribute to the development of Redcliffe?
We need to generate money. We can't always rely on federal money or state money. We really need to get on with our businesses and get more people so that we generate money. Like I said, I have good ideas and I develop fantastic policies regarding the tourism.
Okay, thank you. Number 3. We are represented here this evening by many community organisations, thankfully. As such, how will you ensure that business will interact and support each appropriately?
I will provide a strong voice to help community organisation, because I'm a community worker and I need to build the community sector. And the community sector needs to work together collaboratively with all government level and businesses.
Okay, thank you. There is a new initiative by the Moreton Bay Regional Council called The Hive. What is your understanding of this, and how do you see it benefiting the local business community?
Well, I thank you for the invitations to attend to this, because I never heard about it before, but I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea that we start doing this, because apparently the whole world is start doing it to bring businesses and good way of building network to help the community.
Okay, thank you. The last of the set questions. Government plays a vital role in building and sustaining the economy and has a core responsibility in creating an environment which is conducive to economic growth. What should the government do to improve the competitiveness of Queensland's business operating environment?
That's a good question. But I'm not pretending that I know the answers of this question, but I will listen to you to help me to create a good policy for this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We'll keep moving with we're going to go for some questions from the floor now. Okay, what will independents do with their votes? Will you swing either way?
As a royal person, never align myself with either of the major parties, nor any of the independent candidates. That's a rule.
Okay, thank you. What will you do to promote tourism?
Say that again, please.
What will you do to promote tourism?
To promote Redcliffe is the first settlement in Queensland. And what we're doing about it? Nothing. So we need to do something about the first settlement. And I have a good idea for that.
Okay. Do you support the implementation of the Hayes Inlet Management Plan to provide greater protection of Moreton Bay?
Say that again. Jeez Louise, I've got lots of questions.
Do you support the implementation of the Hayes Inlet Management Plan to provide greater protection of Moreton Bay? Do you support the implementation of the Hayes Inlet Management Plan to provide greater protection of Moreton Bay? What will you do to develop transport to and from the Redcliffe Peninsula?
We need to expand the hours. If the buses stop at 5 o'clock, that's not good enough. I used to transport a lot of clients 3-4 times in my small car. So I have a strong voice to advocate so that to expand the hours for buses. Thank you.
Okay. Politicians are held in low regard in the community. How do you intend to address this?
Say that again.
Politicians are held in low regard in the community. How are you going to fix that?
I'm going to be honest with you. You know, I'm a very straight shooter. I don't beat around the bush. I hate the word with the passion. You know why? Because politicians get caught up with that word and not doing the job properly. I am a community work, and I'm happy. I've got a humble heart, and I will serve you with a humble heart and give you all mine. I'll give you all mine. As a princess from a different tribe in a different culture, we're brought up to serve, not to be served. And that's who I am. And I am ready to serve you with all my heart and heart. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on government cuts to community organisations that don't have poker machines or licensed bars to support the income and are struggling to meet community demand? So what are you going to do with community organisations that can't generate their own money to continue doing what they do?
Well, I have to visit you and listen to you so that I can provide you a strong voice on that, because to be honest, I don't have a policy for that.
Okay, the question paraphrased is, what is your position on de-amalgamation?
Okay. Like I said, I'm willing to listen to every interested parties, as long as you can demonstrate it to me that would not lose any funding from the much more needed services in our community. But amalgamation is something that we cannot rush about it. We need to sit down, consult everybody, and we need to consider it very, very carefully. Thank you.
Okay, we've got time for another one. Labour sold assets which belong to all of us and generated income for all of us. What will you sell?
Oh, here's some questions.
There you are. They're the 5 questions that you have in front of you, so I'll get rid of those for you.
Say it again.
Okay, so basically Labour sold assets which belong to all of us and generated income for all of us. What will you sell?
I sell nothing. All I'm standing for is for the people and with the people.
Okay, what do you think of the current government's suppression of the freedom of speech assembly?
Interesting question. Well, we lost a lot of jobs.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
thank you.
time. Thank you very much. Thank you, candidates. I'm sure we're going to hand over to Peter Morley to close, but also, again, thank you, Colin, for being here tonight representing CCIQ. in response to the question about the hive, it was a loaded question. We are in the early stages of looking to work with CCIQ and Council to be our new home from March onwards. So the future chamber meetings will be at the hive in Sutton Street, so as to galvanise business and enterprises that the council has. Who knows, one day we may buy it off the council, so we are in the early stages of discussions with CCIQ as well as Moreton Bay Regional Council, so something we're very proud of, and I think that's I think it's a first in the country actually, so yes, certainly going to keep Redcliffe on the map. So it was interesting to hear your views on those developments. Peter's got to answer the call of nature, which is perfectly timed, but yeah. Thank you for the pass over to Peter Moore to close. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Ladies and gentlemen and visitors, look, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry Queensland and the Redcliffe City Chamber, I extend a big thanks to all of you for coming along tonight. And in particular, I do extend a big thanks to the candidates who've come along and been able to brave themselves for some grilling and some questions that we've all raised this evening. And as Martin mentioned at the start of this evening, we did sit down and we spent many an hour with an ale or two thinking of the questions because they were in fact important to us, and we as a Chamber felt that they would be important to you as well. So on behalf of the Chamber, I extend a big thanks to all of you for your contribution, your answers, and your ability to stand there and perhaps be grilled on the spot. But of course, as you all know, that's what politics is all about. It's being able to stand there and suddenly find yourselves asked a question about something you know nothing, but being able to provide an answer that sounds something better than bullshit. But so some of you have been able to do that this evening, and we extend a sincere thanks. It is extremely important, as I'm sure you realise, that we as members of the Redcliffe community, both business and individuals, to know that the person to who we eventually put the tick for number one, to be that person that we want to be in Parliament, representing us and being there fighting for us. So it's extremely important that you, when you're out on the hustings, you understand that that's what we're all about. There are many small business people here today. There's a couple of, well, I wouldn't call them small, I would call them actually sustainable businesses who are going extremely well in this peninsula. And we do extend the hope that you will take with you to Parliament, to the hustings that you're on, the need that we want you to support us and give back to our community. Because you're there not as an individual following some career pattern, you are actually there as a representative of our community, fighting for us. And we hope that you will continue to do that throughout the years that you're out there fighting. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do thank you very much for being here tonight. Thank you for the time that you waited outside while you got your receipts. And thank you all very much. And for some of you who may not have yet found yourselves members of the Chamber of Commerce, I would encourage you to consider joining and becoming part of what we're all about. As you can see, we are not a small, disparate group of people that meet for a wine or two on a Tuesday night somewhere in the peninsula. We are, in fact, I believe, myself, Martin, Peter Parks over here, who represents the PCYC, who's actively involved in our community. Martin Hall, who, thank you, Martin, for keeping the buses running. He's... sorry, if you've got a problem with the bus timetable, please go and see Martin. And it's one of the beauties of being involved in the community and being in the Chamber, that you can, in fact, become involved in the people who are working here, because we are here as a community and as a Chamber to be representative of yourselves and carry your voice forward. We're lucky we have Colin Fruck in the back. Colin is a representative of the CCIQ, and we have the opportunity, and Martin and I do visit the CCIQ in Brisbane, and we become involved in the major issues that they are carrying forward to government. and it's extremely important that we are your voice to take forward to CCIQ, who can then take that forward to government, because we are there to try to fight for you all along the way. So if you haven't yet joined, please do feel free to join. It's not that expensive. And of course, as you realise that you can then involve and network with many other people and other small businesses in the area. So once again, on behalf of Martin Hall, our chairman, our president, and Colin Fruck from CCIQ, I extend a big thank you to all of you for being here tonight. And we do sincerely hope that you've been able to take away something tonight, even if perhaps it's made you make up your mind as to who you're going to vote for, but also the opportunity to be able to walk up to these people and say, I need to talk to you, I want to develop some more contacts with you, I want to talk to you more about where we are going as a community. So once again, thank you very much indeed. If I may finally call upon my good friend Michael Connolly. Thank you, Michael.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Michael Connolly, Aboriginal artist and small business operator in Redcliffe, have been for 25 years. Traditional owner in 2 countries of the Kulleria Nation and the Murri Nations of Northwest New South Wales, Southwest Queensland. And Australia Day is very important for a lot of people and a lot of Indigenous people. We could call them a lot of things, but as we hear about people, we're in the future as we try to make all our nations come together from all over the world. Now, I put something together for a person here who was acknowledged on the 26th of January. I was in Germany and I couldn't make the presentation, but I come along here tonight as we were all from different regions and our politicians to be here. And I have something for Martin Hall as a traditional owner to welcome him to Australia. I'm not going to deal with it. The new citizen Martin Hall. Thank you. And before you go, I better read out this because this is very important. I put this together so we all can be part of this. As a representative of the First Nations people of this land, Australia, I welcome you with recognition and respect of Indigenous cultures, language groups and country. I would like to speak about my culture. The spoken word of country means a lot to Indigenous peoples. We speak the country, we sing the country, we worry about country. We feel country, we long for country. Country knows, heals, smells, is sorry and happy. Because country is richness, country is home and peace, nourishment for the body, the mind, the spirit and heart's ease. We pay respect to our spiritual ancestors who have travelled to and from the customary places in the creation period, which is often referred to as the dreaming or the dream time. Today I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are gathering on. I acknowledge their elders past and present. I also acknowledge my elders of my country. Today the First Nations people welcome Martin Hall as a new citizen of Australia, and we do this with great pride, respect and recognition for country. As new citizens to our land, I give a gift to recognise Martin as a citizen of the First Nations people of this land. I sign a Mundagata Kula Warrior.
As the bar is open, should you care to enjoy some repasts? I'm sure there may be some nibbles also left out there, but I'm sure you also want to take advantage of catching up with some of our candidates. Thank you all very much indeed.